Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and welcome to my video for A Plague Tale Requiem. In this guide, I'll take you through all of the collectibles, which include 21 souvenirs, 12 of Hugo's herbarium, which is 5 flowers and 7 feathers, the 10 secret chests, which will require a knife to open, so don't use those in battle. Try to keep one on you at all times, although they're quite easy to find not far from the chests. And there are also 4 missable achievements and trophies that you can get during the missions. Additionally, the game does offer a great chapter and scene select to look at your progress and mop up, and there is an invincible mode if you want the game to be a little bit easier, so let's just get started. The first thing we can unlock is during Chapter 1, Part 1. This is basically the tutorial that teaches you how to use the sling, and we can grab the perfect shot achievement / trophy, which is for shooting all of the pine cones. You're basically going to be using your left trigger to aim and your right trigger to hit the pine cones as they come down the river. There are kind of 2 phases to this tutorial. There is the first phase, where I believe there are 7. Then there is a short cutscene in the middle, and then the second phase, I believe, has 14. It's a little bit harder as they kind of double up on pine cones. And you can very easily just pause the game and restart the checkpoint if you miss one. Or you can come back to this after you're done the game if you don't want to spend too much time on it. But if you're able to shoot all of the pine cones in this tutorial, you will unlock this achievement or trophy.
And they'll keep sinking. Our defenses are too strong for them. Soldier Tana, keep firing their cannon. Yes, we're kicking their asses. They're evil asses. Hey, calm down. You're starting to speak the devil's tongue. It's war. There's no place for manners. All right, give them the coup de grace, Tona. Nice. Come along, my king. The war is over. Let's keep following this river.
You sung so many. You're a great captain. And Tona was nice.
He was, yes.
Next up, we're in Chapter 2, Part 1. As we arrive in town and go up the hill, you will be required to go through this market. I will speed it up just a little bit as this does take a while and you're kind of forced to slowly walk and talk to people. But we're going to get our first souvenir of the game, and there are 21 of these. Now, in this game, a souvenir kind of works like a memory or something you can interact with that has a specific scene associated with it. So for the first souvenir, after talking to the flower lady, you can walk down the path and take a right-hand turn, and at the dead end, you will meet this guy that has a game where you can pick up pots and throw them at the castles. Just pick up the 4 pots, knock down as many cubes as possible, and I think even if you miss all of them, you'll get this, but try your best just to have fun. And once you're done, you will be rewarded with the best player souvenir. This conversation will then also be logged into your codex if you want to look back and check on your progress later.
You hit a lot.
Of course I did. What did you expect?
You're our best player today.
And you didn't even use your sling.
I think we have to get going.
A little bit later on in the chapter, during Part 4, you'll come to this room where there are a lot of bodies, and Lucas will mention that it seems like a hospital maybe. It is not. But if you go upstairs, the normal path here would be to the left. You will have to go through this. But if we go to the right, we can find kind of a little bit of a hidden area. And then if you hook around to the right and walk all the way to the end, there's a person on the ground here that you can interact with. You'll have a kind of unique interaction with them, but once it's over, you will earn the Be at Peace souvenir.
You did well.
I did nothing. Let's go. Can we stop it, Lucas?
Last but not least, for Chapter 2, at the very end of the chapter in Part 7, you'll come to this section with Lucas where you'll run forward, and this one's pretty easy. It's kind of hard to miss, as Lucas will point it out to you. But as you come through this kind of like small little farm type area, you'll notice a flower off to the right-hand side, basically along the main path, and you can interact with it. Amicia will put the flower in her hair, and this will be our first out of 5.
Like before.
It suits you.
Well, thank you.
You'll then play through Chapter 3. After making it a significant part of the way through the chapter, you'll come to this forest, and you'll be required to go into this building kind of directly in front of us with the game's first workbench. There you can climb into a hole in the ground to proceed, but we can also find Souvenir near the house next door. Walk up the path and use your sling from behind the wooden fence to open up the gate. Once you open up the gate, you can get inside of the wooden fence, and there you can interact with a grave, have a short moment, and unlock Souvenir number 3. We will also be using the workbench here in order to upgrade some of our equipment. I'll have a separate video on how you can kind of cheese the achievements and trophies related to equipment. Eventually, you'll make it through a large kind of battle. You'll crawl through a crack in the wall and end up here, which I believe is the herbalist's home. While you're here, use your sling to knock down the pots that are hanging from the tree. This is not required as a part of the story, but when you knock the pot down kind of on the left from where we entered, it'll drop the pot and reveal flower number 2, Chamomile, inside. And when you interact with it, Amicia will put it in her hair, and then you can move on a bit.
Yes, Mother used to give us some when we had stomachache. Back when that was one of the worst things that could happen to us.
Eventually, to kind of end off the chapter, you'll reach this warehouse. You'll climb down 2 ladders to reach the main floor, and make sure you grab these before you solve the puzzle here and finish the level. But the first thing we can grab is the secret chest. This is our first secret chest of the game, and secret chests do require you to have a knife to open them, so always try to keep a knife on you at all times going forward for the rest of the game when possible. You can always backtrack and get these through chapter select quite easily. If you go down and to the left, you will find your knife and get a sling back. And then if you turn around, you'll notice the secret chest very obviously in front of you. You'll have to spend a knife to open it, and this will be our first secret chest. There is achievement tracking if you open up your Xbox achievements on these, so you can check on that and they will automatically track as soon as you open one. Additionally, in this room before exiting, go behind this kind of corner here and you'll be able to use your sling to drop a bridge. Once you drop that bridge, you can climb up the first ladder and then go across the bridge to find Souvenir number 4 called Our Home. Now you can finish the puzzle and finish the level.
Wait, I know this. Lucas, they have a map of Guyenne.
Really?
It's all in the past.
We then move on to Chapter 4, Part 2. Chapter 4 is the first chapter in the game that has kind of a missable achievement or trophy that's story related. But before we get to that, let's get flower number 3. You'll sneak through a small tunnel, and in front of you will be all of the docks and the boats. And immediately take a right-hand turn and follow the kind of shoreline. You'll find a flower at the very end. I believe this one is called Gentian. Not Genshin Impact, a different type of Gentian.
A Gentian, I think. I'm sure he'll love it.
I'd like to offer him so much more.
He loves anything that comes from you.
A little bit later on in the same part of this chapter, you'll walk forward and you'll have to go through a trap door in the ground to proceed. Do not go through that trap door. This game does this a lot where it gives you the main path and they put a collectible right next to it to kind of trick you. But if you crouch, you can actually go underneath these wooden boards just nearby and you'll be able to find a crate that you can move. This will bring you over to a ledge. You can then jump on that crate, climb up, and grab the collectible. If you're having trouble seeing these kind of gaps in the walls, this is actually a good point of the game for you to adjust your brightness levels so you can see these little cracks in the walls a little bit better, as this game can get really dark.
There's some abandoned cargo here. I think it's silk. Not yet.
We have to stop this.
We then move on to part 3 where we can find chest number 2. If you need a knife for this, it's found in the area just before this during part number 3 where there's the 2 enemies you have to sneak by. You'll go through a door to end up here. There's a knife in that area if you don't have one. But you'll end up lighting this brazier in the cart, and then you can push the cart along the main path to proceed with the level. If you keep your eyes peeled and look a little bit to the left, you should notice a pretty obvious ladder. If you push the cart over to the ladder, park it nearby so the rats don't get ya, climb up that ladder and you can find secret chest number 2 at the top. Again, the knife is located pretty much in the middle of the area just before this one.
Let's see what it has.
Next up, Chapter 4, Part 4, you'll go through a door and then have this conversation. Again, the game is going to try to hit you with the sneakiness. There's a little kind of crease in the wall you can climb through here on the left. Don't do that. Instead, pull out your sling with the rock, and here you can sling open a kind of bridge door, and you can go down and to the end of the dock. Here you'll get souvenir number 6, a grain of sand.
So many people must be dying right now. But it's
Come, there's a boat waiting for us. Let's get Hugo out of here.
very well.
Next up, during Chapter 4, Part 5, we can grab the Mercy achievement / trophy, which is for sparing the guard during this section. You'll come into this open area and you'll use your sling to drop a bridge, which will reveal a guard who is sitting inside the hut. You guys will now help each other to get through the area. I'm not going to show the solution to the puzzle as it's required as a part of the main storyline, but at the end, you'll reach this tar pit and you can drop the bridge to have the soldier meet you, so make sure you do that. Now, he's pretty friendly until he gets closer to you and realizes that someone that matches your description got reported for doing some naughty things. And the game will prompt you to use your super fascio in order to extinguish his flame, which will get him eaten by rats. But because we have to save his life, we're going to craft tar, which is available in the box right next to the door. As he approaches, use your tar to ignite his flame. This will stun him, but not kill him. It will also remove the rats from nearby. You can then sprint across and go to the door. As soon as you enter the door, the achievement or trophy should unlock for you not killing him. Congratulations. We then move on to Chapter 5, right near the very beginning of the chapter. You'll climb up a ledge and then you'll end up along a path. Just keep your eyes peeled to the right-hand side. There will be a break in the path that will lead you to a chest, and then you can basically take this upper route. They end up meeting each other at the end, so just don't go through the crack in the wall if you take the wrong path. But if you go up this kind of side path, you should end up hearing the Stag's roar, which is souvenir number 7.
Oh, Lord, I forgot. Let's go back.
After you.
Now, at the end of Part 1, you and Lucas will be helping each other get across all of these platforms where you'll have to light fires and help each other. But near the very end, you'll end up slinging open a wooden door, lighting a hay bale, and then you and Lucas will meet, and here you'll have a workbench. But if you actually turn to the right from the workbench, you'll notice that there is a ladder that is being kept propped up by a chain, which you can break with your sling. Climb up the first ladder, then up the ledge, and then climb up the second ladder. Here you'll come to an area that I believe has a knife, but more importantly, there is a ledge where you can interact with it in order to get souvenir number 8.
We can try to cheer Hugo up.
You think they'll hear us?
Well, you can shout pretty loudly. He's seen us. Let's go. It's absurd. We should be playing for fun.
Next up, we've made it across the river, so we're in Part 3, and there's a secret chest directly above you. You will need a knife for this, which you either grabbed previously or you carried from a mission earlier on in the game. But if you come out of this ferry and then navigate in the path behind it, you'll notice that there is a small crack in the gate. You can climb through that, finding a ladder which will let you get into the attic space. There's also some goodies underneath this building, but this one allows you to spend your knife to open up the secret chest and get number 3. Again, there's a knife right next to the previous collectible, which was souvenir number 8, although you may have to replay more of the mission to get it. Just after the secret chest, we can grab flower number 4. You'll proceed to this wooden bridge section, and there will be a platform that is required for you to move. But if you go to the left side, you can use your sling, break the chain, which will open up a drawbridge that I already have opened here. And then you can grab the cart, and instead of moving it to the correct location, you can move it to this secondary location. And this will give you access to this bridge that we just dropped. Here you can cross the bridge, continue along the path, climb up some rocks and ledges, and find flower number 4 out of 5. Now the game is going to be a little bit annoying, and instead of giving us flower number 5 in the next chapter, it's going to make us do all the feathers and the final flowers in the final chapter of the game. So we won't get the 5th flower for quite a while, even though technically right now we're 80% done.
Hey, look at you stranded here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need you. Anything that can cheer him up. Let's finish this.
We then start off with chapter 6 right near the beginning, and you will have a race with Hugo towards this tree in this large field. I actually don't know if you can necessarily miss this feather, as it seems to be an automatic interaction once you do reach Hugo. But if you interact with him on the ground, he'll show you the feather. You can then take the feather and pin it onto his little shirt or his vest. And then you can actually go to the codex menu and you can change these kind of like customization items as you play through the game. So that's going to be our first feather.
That's a beautiful feather.
So soft. So blue. A night bird.
Oh, that reminds me. I found some pretty flowers when I was out with Lucas.
In the next part of the chapter, you'll reach this kind of camp where people are doing a pilgrimage. And if you enter the camp and just stick along the main path, keep an eye open to the left-hand side. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. But there will be kind of a break in between the tents with a man standing next to a tree. This is a little bit of a hidden path. So follow this path, and at the end of the path, there is a tree. On that tree, there is a swing. And if you interact with it, Amicia and Hugo will share a moment together. This will unlock souvenir number 9 for
It's
you.
always broken.
You go. I'll push you.
Really? You don't want to go yourself?
No, I'll push you. You're tired. Here we go.
I've flown enough, I think. Should we go back?
Yes.
Well, thank you. It was soothing.
Now, from the last secret chest, you would have had 3 opportunities to pick up a knife. But during part 5, there is a secret chest. If you're in desperate need of a knife, play part 4, and there's one located near the middle of the kind of desert quarry area. As you exit that area, you'll come into this room, and you'll notice that there is a pretty obvious secret chest through the metal grate, or the metal door. You can crawl through this kind of hole in the wall, and as you enter, spend that knife to open it up. There's also 2 doors here that I couldn't seem to figure out how to open. If you figured it out, leave me a comment. Was there anything cool behind those doors?
Yes, soon.
In the next room from the previous collectible, you'll probably end up taking the torch off the wall and following the path in order to get into the next door. I think if you use like a combination of your alchemy, you don't have to take the torch, but the game definitely intends you to take it, as there's a place to put the torch as you open the door. Don't go through the next door. Instead, go up the ladder and then follow the kind of boardwalk above here. I don't know if boardwalk's the right word, but you'll end up being able to basically crawl under this hole and then drop down into the next room. In the next room, in the middle, you can interact with some headbands and it'll change the color of your headband. I accidentally didn't capture this, so you're seeing me do it for a second time, pretending to get the collectible, but it'll be here, I promise. We then move on to chapter 7 right near the beginning as you walk along the beach. Make sure you take a little left-hand detour through this small building slash fishing hut and go through the main door. As you enter, make sure you pick up the knife on the mattress if you don't already have one. You'll need that knife later. But you can then hop through the window and follow the path. At the end of the path, you can find the black-headed gull feather.
It has to be a seabird.
A seagull?
Moving up a little bit in the chapter, we're going to go to part 3. If you're going through chapter select, it's going to be right behind you. But in front of you, there will be a workbench, and then you'll end up going in through this large cavern. Before you do that, make sure you go up the ledge on the left-hand side. This will give you access to view the kind of shipwrecked boat here on the cliff's ledge, and you can interact with the name of the boat, and you can give it a new name. This will be Souvenir number 11.
Its name was here. We can't read
Dead
it.
till it's completely buried.
Let it rest then. It's earned it. Come.
You'll then eventually proceed along the main path of this mission. You'll probably need to use a crossbow arrow with fire in order to get across this gap of rats. And the game's going to hit you with the sneakiness yet again. You're going to drop down the ledge and there will be a crack in the rocks that you can pass through in order to continue. Do not do that. Instead, you can make a right-hand turn. This will let you crawl through a hole that puts you onto a boat. And on this boat, you can get your 4th secret chest. You would have to have carried a knife with you from the beginning of the mission or earlier in order to open it. Then in part 5, you'll reach the fishing village. If you do this through chapter select, it will be behind you, but you'll climb through a crack in the rocks and immediately you'll want to take kind of a left turn behind you, and you'll notice that there's a ledge you can climb up before you go into the fishing village where you notice the lighthouse. If you crawl under the rocks, you'll end up in a cave system. Here you can grab the torch off the wall, use that torch to walk forward, and at the end of the cave, which isn't very long, you will find souvenir number 12. This one's called The First Men, and it is a series of paintings on the wall. Now for me, this was my last souvenir in the game, so I did unlock my achievement here. You will probably not. There are 21, and you should unlock yours later. Next up is chapter 8. We will reach a beautiful city. The graphics in this game and the art style are incredible. But as you walk forward, you'll reach this kind of large open market. Some of the doors may be blocked by people standing. If you just wait, they'll eventually clear up as you talk to people. But if you walk forward and go to the right side on the far door, you'll notice that there is kind of this small little like pen of goats. Hugo will run up to the gate and make comments about the goats. Goats kind of are a reoccurring theme in the game in terms of souvenirs. But if you then go up to the wooden fence and interact with it, you'll be given souvenir number 13, Silent Lucinda.
You were scared, that's all. Let's go. Thank you, sir.
Now, if instead of going to the right from the market, you went to the left side of the market, there will be a bunch of people here you can talk to that are kind of like sitting in a circle. I'm going to fast forward just so you can see where I'm walking. You can't miss this. Just don't go like further into the level. There will be a bunch of people talking. You can talk to them and get some information. But if you just keep going kind of behind them, there's a small little grass path with a tree at the top. And underneath this tree, we can find feather number 3. So pick that up before you continue.
Smart as hell.
What a predator you make.
Now that we grabbed both of those things in the first part of the market, let's walk through the gate that should now be cleared because we talked to all the people here. We can then proceed forward and go to the left-hand side and down the little staircase. Here we can grab the perfect throw achievement / trophy, and it's also related to souvenir number 14, which is the flower crown. There will be a small mini game here where you'll have to pick up 4 pots, and throw all 4 of the pots through the flower wreaths. You have to score through each one time without missing. This will get you the perfect throw achievement / trophy, and when you do that, you'll also unlock souvenir number 14. Now the aim here is a little bit weird. What I would recommend is aiming at the top of the flower crown and then aiming slightly down. When you can't really tell if it's going through the circle or not, that means it's probably going through the circle. And once you get all 4 of them, you'll get congratulated by the gamesman, and you'll get both the achievement and the souvenir. Congratulations. If you make a mistake, just make sure you quickly pause the game and restart your checkpoint.
Let's go see the rest.
All right, chapter number 9, part 2. This chapter took me like 3 hours. It is probably the longest one in the game, although if you don't take as much time as I did searching around, it won't take you nearly as long. If you walk down the stairs from where you began and just continue along the path, at the end of the path here, it's going to take a left-hand turn around this house. Instead, continue through the small gate or the break in the wall as if you were to just try to continue going straight, and there's this kind of side path. At the very end of the side path, there is a tree. You can interact with this tree in order to get souvenir number 15 called 1,000 More Years.
Look at this beauty. It must be so old.
How old?
An olive tree, thousands of
I
years
love
old.
you.
And I'm sure it loves you too. Let's go.
Yes.
Now I'm going to go back up to the top of the hill from where we entered the area, just so you have a good reference point. I'm going to walk down the stairs, and then at the first little phoenix bird statue, I'm going to take a left-hand turn and then follow that path. Now, secret chest number 6 is going to be here. You may or may not already have a knife. If you already have one, that's great. If you don't have one, there's going to be one in the room right where we enter. So you can get this collectible without an issue. Now, follow the path. You'll notice the tower off in the distance. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and run to the tower along the path. The door will be locked, so you'll have to go along the side. Use your sling to shoot through the window. This will bust the lock and then open the door, and you can climb in. Once you climb in, there will be a door right in front of you, and as you open that door, a knife should be right in front of you. If you don't have a knife, pick it up. You'll need it for chest number 6. If you have a knife, leave it. Do not recycle it like I do, and then pick it up on your way down the stairs. As you go up the stairs, there will be 2 collectibles in this building. Go up the ladder and you'll notice a very obvious secret chest, number 6. Pretty much you can't miss it as long as you're, keeping an eye out for it. And you'll spend your knife in order to open it up. If you already had a knife, make sure you grab the knife on the way out of this building, as secret chest number 7 is the next collectible.
What do you have for us?
Also in this destroyed tower, we can find souvenir number 16 by climbing the next ladder to get to the roof. As you're on the roof, you can approach the ledge. Here you can yell off of this kind of balcony and you'll get the nice Screeching souvenir. This one takes like a full minute, I think, by the way.
Nice view. You need one to be heard over the sound of the sea.
Your crew must love it.
Oh, they've never complained.
Now this next thing is completely optional, but there is a puzzle that has to do with the windmills. If you do that puzzle, you can unlock armor that you can then use in New Game Plus. I'll have a separate video available for those who are interested in doing that before leaving the area. So next up, we have souvenir number 17, and right after that, we have secret chest number 7. You'll come up the path here during part 3 on your way to the sanctuary. The main gate will be closed, and the goat herder shepherd guy will let you take the goat path. He'll let you know that one of his goats has gone missing, and that's going to be souvenir number 17. So as you come up the path, you should hear the goat. It's pretty loud and pretty obvious. It'll be on your left-hand side inside of this kind of destroyed tower. What you'll need to do, though, is you will need to use your flame pot, or I think you can even use a flame sling, but there is a chest right next to it that should have the things you need. But if you use flame, I actually end up using the sling, so I guess that's possible. You can burn all of the dried up kind of shrubbery there. It takes like 20 seconds. But then after that, you can use the left bumper to send Hugo through the hole, and he'll be able to open up the door for you. Once he opens up the door for you, you can walk inside, exchange a couple of words, and then you should be allowed to interact with the goat here. His name is Tramontane, I believe. And as you finish the conversation regarding him, you'll be able to unlock souvenir number 17.
Let's go.
Yes. Go. Your dad's waiting for you. She's not moving.
She will. She's her own master.
There wasn't any goat in your...
After interacting with the goat, let's grab secret chest number 7. If you don't have a knife, you can restart the level from the beginning, grab the knife in the destroyed tower, and grab this chest within a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. But if you had the extra knife, you should still have a knife here, and you'll be able to grab both of the chests in one playthrough. Right after the goat, you'll jump up a ledge and then climb along a path. There will be another ledge kind of behind you over your left shoulder. You can grab this ledge in order to find secret chest number 7. Spend your knife to open it up.
What do we have here? Well, thank you, Arno.
That was to be expected.
We're then later on in chapter 9. This is part 4. You'll be required to sneak by all of these enemies without getting spotted and without killing anyone. And you will eventually have to climb through this window in order to get into this kind of tower. You'll then be able to walk up the stairs and go through a door. And then once you get into this door, there are a series of staircases. You can go down, halfway up, or all the way up, I believe. I haven't explored all of them perfectly, but basically, feather number 4 is the barn owl feather. And to get it, you want to climb the stairs all the way to the top. So don't exit out the first option. Don't exit out any of the options until you get to the very top. And there you can climb up a ledge. So interact with that ledge to get Hugo up. Sophia will follow. And then if you follow this high path along the left side, you should notice the feathers at the very end before dropping down. So make sure you interact with them before you move on to the next area.
It's the Count and the Countess.
It seems we're... Hugo, look at this.
Is it from the bird?
It's up to you.
I say it is.
Then it would be honored that you wear it. Keep it for when we see it.
Yes. I'll give it back then.
Next up, I'm going to show you how to get the Old Protector achievement / trophy, which is missable, and it is possible by interacting with all of the Old Protector's items in the sanctuary. This is during chapter 9, part 6. There are basically 3 rooms and 16 items. In the first room, you will have to interact with the tent. As Hugo will go there, you have to interact with him to kind of set him free. But in the first room, there are 4 items. The first one is the tent. There is a rocking horse near the middle. There's a bed on the left side, and there are some dolls on the far left side. Make sure you grab all 4 of these interactable items before leaving the first room.
Yes. Maybe he dreamt the same dream as you. Let's see what else he left us. Look,
That's a lovely horse.
it's your size. Pretty sure he was your age.
Yes.
So that was his bed.
It's beautiful.
This Basilius was treated like a king.
Maybe he was a king.
King Basilius. Look at that. They're people. Important ones, maybe?
Prophets? Are there prophets in the order?
They're villains. I think he shot at them with this ball here.
Makes sense. Boys.
I like this game too.
Come.
After interacting with these items, go to the door that connects you to the second room. And in this room, there are also 4 items. There will be the armor directly in front of you. Just to the right of the armor, there is a weapons rack. That should be the second item you can interact with. There are some wax tablets to the left of the exit door. And there are also some toys that are to the right side of the room, not far from the exit, kind of halfway in between the entrance and the exit. Make sure you interact with all 4 of these items before leaving the second room. You should now have 8 unique protector items before leaving.
Place to avoid it. The carrier draws attention.
Valuable tiny creatures.
Look, wax tablets. They're carved.
He drew her. And there, he drew himself with her. He loved her.
It looks like they spent a lot of time together. Just like us.
This is so strange.
It is. Let's keep on. Toys. He was coming here to play with her.
And she let him. She was the best kind of knight.
I would have loved to meet them.
Once you've interacted with the 4 items in room 2, you can use the door to exit into the kind of main hub area. Keep in mind there are no items in this area, but I've decided to keep this as one clip for those looking to follow along. There will be about a 30 to 45 second conversation here before you're able to enter the third room, which has the remaining 8 items.
It's just that.
Sorry, boy.
But no.
That explains why it stands above the child on their frescoes.
They thought they were better than him. They didn't care about him.
It doesn't change why we're here. Come, let's finish this first, right?
As you enter the third room, there are a lot of things here. Basically, I'm just going to make my way in a clockwise motion starting from the left. I would recommend interacting with the lab table in the middle as your last interactable item. It seems to be the most important, and it seems to trigger the story to the next section, so that's why I would leave it for last. This first one is an anthenor, which I don't even know what that means, but maybe I'll look it up after this video. And then there are a lot of different items that are kind of hard to describe through text, but there's going to be like a small black bottle, there's going to be a collection of flasks, there's going to be another bottle, there'll be some black powder, and in the middle there will be a lab table. If you want to count those out individually, there are 6 items in room 3 downstairs. Make sure you interact with all of them at least one time before leaving the downstairs area.
You'll find something.
Sorry. Lucas would know. He would. What would they make? Lord, give me something, please. This is all centuries old. What do you expect?
I think the little one needs you, Amicia.
Yes. That. Oh, I don't even know what it's used for. Come on, give me something.
There's nothing much. Oh.
A phoenix. Look for a phoenix. Hey, something's wrong?
I'm sure they hurt him too.
Hey, I know things aren't turning out the way you expected, but
Nothing ever changes, Amicia.
Alia wouldn't let them hurt him, right?
You ever done?
No! I tried to stop it, but...
I know. You tried. Sorry.
Hey, come here, you two.
Sophia? Where are you?
Upstairs.
How did you get there?
Look behind the curtains.
Last but not least, we can go upstairs, and here we'll find our last 2 items. You'll climb through the curtain, and here in the middle of the room, you can interact with the metal floor, which shows that you were able to kind of spy on the child below. And additionally to the metal floor, there are some scrolls off to the far left. Make sure you interact with both of these items before you interact with Sophia. interacting with Sophia in this room will end off this part of the chapter, and you'll have to redo the whole part in order to grab the achievement or trophy again. Although it's not that hard and it doesn't take any skill, it's a little bit annoying to have to redo 7 minutes of a game just because you interacted with someone by accident. But when you interact with these scrolls, assuming you followed along and grabbed all 16 items, the achievement or trophy will unlock for you. Congratulations.
Come look, I think I've got something.
We then move on to chapter 10. We're a decent chunk of the way already into the chapter, but you'll use a large old metal chandelier to swing into a door to open it, and then you can continue along the main path. Eventually, it'll turn, but it'll also break away to the left. If you follow this breakaway to the left, you'll be able to find a ledge that drops down nearer the water, and it'll kind of go underneath this kind of broken bridge. But underneath that broken bridge, you can find feather number 5, the feather of the raven.
See that, Hugo? A feather.
Leave it.
Why? So that people leave it alone.
Oh,
They're not darker than people.
You should see me when I wake up.
Next up, you'll reach this kind of hut, and it'll begin to kind of storm. But if you come inside and look to the left, you can use this anchor point and your crossbow to tear down some parts of the wall, which will reveal a ledge for you. If you are doing this through chapter select, you can select part 5, but it'll actually be right behind you from where you spawn at the beginning of that part. But if you tear down the wood that's blocking this ledge, you'll be able to then climb up, and then you'll be able to find a tree which will have some chains and a rag doll next to it, which is our next souvenir.
Lord, they use this tree to chain up slaves.
That's what they do.
We're then in chapter 10, part 6, and you'll learn a new mechanic, which is the prism, and you can find secret chest number 8 here. If you don't have a knife, you can replay part number 5, which is the part right before this, and you can find a knife in one of the buildings along the right-hand side. But if you use your prism on the second fire, you can walk away from the fire and find your way into this kind of tower, and there should be a pretty obvious secret chest here that's viewable from the middle of the area. If you come up here, you can spend that knife you grabbed in the previous section to open it up, and you're at 8 out of 10. Moving on to chapter number 11, you'll learn about these barrels that you can blow up in order to open a locked door. There will be a workbench in the next room, and if you look to the far right corner, you'll find another barrel you can explode, so we're going to explode it. And then after that, this will create a hole in the wall that we can crawl through, and directly in front of us, we'll find feather number 6, the European Goldfinch. Also, this is pretty important. When you go through the next door, you'll be able to find a knife sticking out of a skeleton on the right-hand side of the path. Make sure you pick up that knife for later.
Hasn't been too scared.
yes.
A little bit later on in the chapter, you'll reach this area with these 3 carts that you can light on fire and push around these tracks. You'll have to unlock the cart on the right-hand side. You can't miss it. But as you're pushing it to the middle, it'll come to its first intersection, and then you can change the direction of this cart in order to reach the far right of the room from where we entered. If you push it to the end of the track, unfortunately it's not bright enough, but if you use tar, it will make it even brighter, which will allow you to run to the end of the track and then drop down the ledge. If you drop down the ledge here, you can find souvenir number 19. You may need to reignite the cart with more tar using your slingshot in order to be able to climb back up.
Let's go.
You'll then reach a room with a giant door that's locked. You'll need to solve puzzles to unlock that door. But if you're facing the door, on the right side of the room, there is a very small door that is locked. And you can use the bumper to send Hugo through a hole next to the door. He will unlock it from the inside, and then you can go into that door. And in this small room, you can find his toys. This is souvenir number 20.
Toys.
Basilius.
Let's go back to that door.
Next up, we do have a secret chest. It will require you to have a knife. If you don't have a knife, you can go back to part number 4 near the European Goldfinch collectible we picked up previously. You can find a knife, you'll have to grab it, and then proceed to this part of the level. But you'll eventually get separated from Sophia and Hugo. You'll get down underneath the bridge, and you'll have to come through this section where you shoot down some chains and then squeeze on through. Instead of going forward back underneath the bridge, you can find another section to squeeze through on your left, and as you squeeze through here, you can find secret chest number 9. The next chapter is chapter 12, but this doesn't contain any collectibles, so we're going to skip on through to chapter number 13. The chapters start getting a lot shorter, by the way, from this point on in the game, but you'll have to come to the section where you use your sling to break a lock that lets you get through a door, and then you'll have to push this cart to clear the path. This is all mandatory, you'll have to do this. But in the room right after you push the first cart, there's a second cart, and if you push it out of the way, you'll reveal a hole in the wall. And in this hole in the wall, you can find your last souvenir of the game, number 21. This one's called A Mess. Congratulations, an achievement or trophy should unlock for you right here.
Stand up. Stand up and go.
Now later on in chapter 13, you'll come through this hole in the wall. You may notice a workbench off to your right. Feel free to use it. You can then climb up this little ledge and you'll have to drop down in front of you. In front of you, there will be this arch that's on fire, but we'll grab a knife real quick. Basically, as soon as you drop down, look to your left and grab this knife sticking out of the wall. We're now going to grab feather number 7 and secret chest number 10. You'll run forward and into this area, you can't miss it, and you're required to move a cart so you can reach a ledge that you wouldn't otherwise reach. And it's on the opposite side of where this cart is, just behind you. You may notice that there is a second ledge, and that's obviously where we're going to go. We're going to go to the ledge on the left, using the cart as a booster. So once you park the cart, you can jump on up, and you should find feather number 7, the Greylag Goose feather, directly in front of you as you climb up. This will be your 7th and final feather, which should unlock an achievement or trophy for you if you've been following along.
I don't know what it is, but soon.
Basically, right next to that feather, there's a door on your right-hand side, and behind that door is secret chest number 10. Like all secret chests, it will require a knife, which we just found basically directly underneath it. Use that knife in order to open up the chest, and if you've been following along, this should be your last one, also unlocking an achievement or trophy. Congratulations. The next few chapters are pretty short, but also don't have any collectibles, including chapter 14 and 15. Now, last but not least, we have our final collectible, which is located in chapter 16, and it is the Carnation flower. Before I show you exactly where it is, if you did find this video helpful, I would really appreciate if you dropped a like and considered sharing this video with a friend. I've also enabled super thanks for those who are interested in taking the extra step in supporting the video through the comments. But nonetheless, at the very beginning of the chapter, you'll walk forward, and this one's almost impossible to miss. Lucas will point out a carnation on the ground near a door. You're basically forced to interact with it. This will be your last flower if you've been following along, and the achievement or trophy will unlock. At this point, you can use chapter select to find anything you might have missed before you beat the game and start New Game Plus. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the video was enjoyable. Special thanks to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show, and hopefully I see you soon. Peace.